Welcome to my story 15. 1 in 5. The next big thing 15. Last time we talked a little bit about 14. Life sciences and genetics. 15 I decoded as what I call first convergence. And that is when the radio and the telephone, big thing 8, the telephone, and big thing 9, the radio converged into the mobile telephone, into what you know as the cellular phone, and it has merged now into the smartphone, which is converging the computer. And actually, after first convergence, the 15 came 16, which actually had a parallel time frame. But although the internet was started, it really didn't take shape until the 90s with the advent of the browser. And so 16 was the internet, and actually first convergence was the beginning of what I described in the last episode, which was a confluence of convergence. But first convergence then evolved into a convergence of the radio and the internet into what you call Wi-Fi. And now in the smartphone, the Wi-Fi internet and the smartphone internet and all of the different wireless technologies and the computing technologies and, well, what you know as all of the information in the internet is converging together. And, well, that's the confluence of convergence, but it goes beyond just this technology landscape as you know it, but a convergence into our processes, into our cars, trains, planes, automobiles, our technology across the board with an integrated architecture going forward that might blow out your mind. But let me describe more the sort of space that I describe, this real-to-real, real-to-real, real-to-real reality space, when we create sort of a virtual reality Google Earth, sort of like a movie of us, and you're all in the movies while we're writing a new future together, and we're all in the ground floor of this. Now imagine that anywhere in the world we could transport anyone with these iPhones. And by the way, when we do it in volume, you know, people talked about building a $99 computer. Why couldn't we build $99 or less iPhones and build billions of them and provide everybody on the planet an iPhone, a path to knowledge, education, a path to connection, and, well, a path to world and global peace? But imagine the ability to take 1 billion or 2 billion people, no limit really, all over the world, and have them virtually come to the same place if you wanted. You could have a stadium, pick your favorite football stadium, your favorite place on the planet. You could you could bring them onto a field of dreams. You could bring them to some place in the Arctic Ocean on top of an ice cube or something. It doesn't really matter. You can put in virtual beaches on top of a nature scene. The point is, you can virtually bring in people. And, well, let's say you're sitting in a show, a game, you want to watch football or stuff, and in here you're watching in 3D. Well, you would be transplanted potentially, with your friends next to you potentially, to the best seats in the house. Now, let's see this. These are virtual seats. Now, so none of a sudden you got the best seats, so nobody else in the world can get the best seat. No, not true. 1 billion people can sit virtually right on top of you in those best seats, and they see the same thing you do. They don't see you sitting there because we filter you out, because we just can't have all those people sitting on top of you. It'll get a little crazy. Or maybe we'll run that program, but it'll get a little crazy. The point is, we can have a virtual perspective. You can be there while we're recreating a reality. You could be there. And, well, that changes the world as we know it. Because, see, okay, imagine this. We're running the world, and our enterprises are running boardrooms. Now, actually interesting, the boardroom we might have in the future might have physically people there, but also they might virtually be congregated in virtual circles and, well, virtualized. But, okay, so imagine a boardroom in whatever sector or whatever part of our global enterprise that we might be talking about, where anybody on Earth could come in and listen to what was going on. they couldn't necessarily all participate, but electronically there would be avenues for global participation and for advancing the state of our knowledge. But we would operate our global enterprise with a relatively open kimono. Okay, so, but see, the thing is it's pretty doubtful when we have a world with one single world bank. Just think about this. We all have our money in the bank. It's backed by all our assets in the world because we bottom out. So we got our assets in the world. They're backed by a bank. We issue currency, so we make our people wealthy. Now, all of a sudden, somebody comes along and says that our bank is it's just not solvent. Our bank is bankrupt. The emperor has to close. Well, wait a minute. You can't determine whether our bank is solvent. We own the world. If we own the world, we're infinitely solvent. Anyway, that's sort of another question of the monetary illusion that we have. But just think about, ask Greenspan about the Greenspan of money and time. If we can print ultimately infinite money, if the world had a global currency backed by real assets that are owned and backed by it, what would be the limit to our printing a global reserve currency of our entire enterprise? And of course, we wouldn't want to go out of the world with it, but we could manage it to advance the money supply. Now, and just to give you my political standpoint, it's to put out the people around tables and limited enterprises. And I asked those libertarians many years ago, why would a libertarian ever need a party? Because, of course, a libertarian really doesn't need government. And if Ayn Rand is smart, instead of accepting a little government, she would just butt it out and say, listen, it's a lot cheaper for us to do what you should be doing. We'll do it for you. Just get out of the freaking way. Well, that's another story. But that's the story of how we could buy the world. Because if the wealthy and great minds of the world got together with all the people of the planet and brought the world a new future and just said, part of the deal is all the people in the world get a cut of the action just to get them out of the way so we can build a bigger enterprise. It would be greater for all of us. And so imagine that world sort of like an American Idol global world idol on steroids, where we're having contests in every village. Why would we have all these contests? Why would we be doing anything? Think about this. The show we'd be writing and the show we'd be creating would play as history for the next 50 years, the next 100 years. This wouldn't just go the way the black and white TV. This would be real reality as mankind advanced himself to the next level of his own existence. This is the ultimate reality movie of man, and as such, it probably would be content for 1,000 years. Or 1,000 years. That's like, do the math, it's 1,000,000. Or maybe 1,000, a billion years. How much money could we make on clicks over 1,000,000,000 years in a movie of the reality when we change our future and created a better new future together? And so, in this new reality, so that we have all these contests. And so when we make the poor richer, the rich still get a party because we buy them out, put them in the show, but then they're not talent. Come to our show. My vision is get out of your little TV channels and your little broadcast dues and get into a bigger, real good nose. So imagine, instead of fighting it out on your channels in Hollywood, you have your Jay Leno's, your Gormans, your new guys, I don't know, those news guys, those news guys you got. Anyway, you have all of your talk show guys at the same party, and they have little places that talking to each other, talking to themselves, and people can come from all over the world and watch and move around and watch without disturbing the people, because they're often like a virtual domain, they don't even see it. But they're in the talk show, they're in the movie, they're watching the real show, and it's not happening on little sets. It's happening, in a big Playboy mansion with morality, of course, because hopefully we'd have ones that are rated G, okay, or PG, or whatever. But imagine the minds that might be going when we get our scientists together with, well, our actors and our crazy people together with our sane people. And, well, imagine the creativity that could be spawned when we create a methodology of advancing and soliciting more stars, more greatness, because that's how we advance it. We have more stars, more wealth at the top, but again, that wealth is part of this movie, and then those stars can be starring roles, and we can imagine more content. So, right now, your Hollywood and your great Hollywood is at X. Whatever X is, imagine 1,000 times X overnight. But that's big. See, you can't even think of a world of a prosperity of 100 times your prosperity overnight. Can you think of a world where you double your prosperity overnight? Or just 19 times? Well, actually, which is which and what is what? You see, you can't think of a world outside of your net present reality. What is your net present reality screened upon? What is it held back by? What keeps us from crossing the chasm to the new reality that I have described? A new reality of your mind that you can achieve, that can be achieved, because you are the Messiah. You are all your own salvation, and you are all your own wellness. Selfishness, what a revelation. And, well, I don't want to get into it, but I did start to think about the brand names of God. And, well, with no disrespect to any other brand, one of the really great brands I decoded was Allah. Now, it comes with a lot of reason and meaning why I decoded Allah as the best brand name for God. But one of the key reasons, beyond his 99 names and faces, one of the key reasons was in the name as it translated in English. Because we talked about mess, all, one for all for one. Imagine that. Imagine that the pyramid of us is the salvation of our future. One world unto us. And so, well, that's sort of the story. But here's the thing. We are all running our planet through our rear view mirrors. We're sort of looking over there and saying, okay, that's what used to happen when this shit happens. That's probably what's going to happen going forward. You can't possibly run a world in today with things changing at a rate of change, when 1/3 of all the next big things of history have occurred within our present lifetimes. You cannot possibly run a future vision through your rear view. You must turn it forward. You must be able to peek around to your forward view. You must achieve the radioactive mind, to think beyond the bounds of the constraints of reality as you know it. You must beyond the boxes and the paradigms and paradoxes that entrapped you in what your net present view of our own reality is, what your net present view of your future is. The question is, can we create a far better future together, and how would we do it? And that's a movie that could be written. And I wrote the story in 2005 and 6 about a revolution from the bottom to the top that took place in cyberspace. But this revolution cannot be achieved without the top, because we must win over the Atlas angels. But if we have all the people on the planet, we have them. So how do we win the Atlas angels? Well, they have to win themselves and start looking not to their rear views, but turn it around. Look to the forward view to the future and calculate the value of justice and peace on earth, and decode how to achieve it. Thank you, and we look forward to episode 16, the last of the next big things, the internet.